It is the most significant moment in the war since Putin invaded Ukraine in February 2022. On June 23rd, Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner mercenary group, mutinied, capturing Rostov-on-Don, a critical Russian military logistics hub.
Под контролем военные объекты Ростова, в том числе аэродром,
and marching his militia towards Moscow. But just a day later, it was all over. Prigozhin struck a deal with Putin, agreeing to turn back his troops. What does this sudden turn of events mean for the war in Ukraine, Russia, and the world? The Economist defense editor, Shashank Joshi, reveals his 3 key takeaways.
Ukrainians have sought to capitalize on the chaos inside Russia, and they have made some gains on the ground in the east of the country, particularly around the town of Bakhmut. But I think the bigger impact on this war is going to be over the medium and longer term, because we've seen divisions and tensions within Russia's military command laid bare. And if you're a Russian soldier on the ground, you will just have heard Yevgeny Prigozhin explain why the war is being fought for the benefit of corrupt elites and is unnecessary. You will just have watched Wagner mercenaries shoot down your pilots and get away with it. And if you're a Wagner soldier, you will have been shot at, shelled, bombed by Russian soldiers alongside whom you may now have to fight in Ukraine. So you can imagine the kind of poisonous effect that's going to have on battlefield dynamics. There was an assumption that the longer this war goes on, the more that Western democracies, that America, Europe, would struggle to keep up and keep focus. What I think has now become clear, as of June 24th, is that a long campaign is also going to exacerbate the stresses and the strains on Putin's regime as well. That a long war is not necessarily going to benefit Russia. The events of June 24th have left Vladimir Putin severely weakened. He has survived, he has staved off this coup attempt, he has stopped Wagner's march on Moscow, but he's also made a compromise with a man whom he described as a traitor. And he's been forced to allow him to escape punishment, to leave for Belarus, to have his militia, the Wagner group, retain its weapons. And I think what people are seeing inside Russia, Putin's rivals, are that he wasn't able to stop this by force. He wasn't able to prevent this from happening in the first place, despite having intelligence. And I think his opponents will sniff weakness. I think this leaves the Putin regime more brittle, more fragile perhaps than ever before. I think there is a recognition in Western capitals now that they have to reckon with a scenario that was previously seen as more outlandish, which is the fall of the Putin regime and perhaps even chaos, turmoil, civil war inside Russia. That could mean refugees into Europe. It could mean questions around the security and safety of Russia's nuclear arsenal. And it could mean new warlords like the Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov asserting themselves in the aftermath of that kind of turmoil. This is the first time that anybody has seriously challenged Moscow on the ground since Hitler in Operation Barbarossa in the early 1940s. It's the first really serious coup in Moscow since the 1991 coup by KGB hardliners that also failed. I think when a government has been around for 23 years, as Putin's has done, it begins to look like a permanent fixture on the world scene. But I think this is now reminding us that big imperial wars in Russia have often resulted in the chickens coming home to roost and instability back in the capital at home. Thank you for watching, and to read more of our fantastic coverage on the war in Ukraine, please click on the link.